Hey, my friends. Happy Halloween is coming up. One of the great holidays. My kids, I was telling Mateo, my kids are getting a little bigger, so I don't know how many more Halloween trick-or-treating events I can go to. So I got to look forward to them while I can. So today's going to be an important episode. We're doing this, I'm discussing the big federal lawsuit against Amazon for antitrust violations. It's actually the federal government and 17 states that filed this action. My prediction is that a few other states will file actions, but they'll do it separately. And all right, so I'll talk about that. And of course, Mateo at the end.
We're gonna have dad jokes.
Okay. Zeke will not be happy unless we do our dad jokes at the end. Okay. All right, so let's do it. It's actually a rather huge antitrust lawsuit against Amazon, something all of us know. And it's very, very tricky and detailed. And so let me go over it. Okay, so first of all, in terms of the jurisdiction, this is the federal government suing Amazon in the federal court in the state of Washington. And the district is in the Western District of Washington, so in Seattle. Now, that was pretty interesting to me, right? Because that's where Amazon is located, their hub, and they were founded in Seattle. I think the federal government could have brought the lawsuit in a federal court, maybe in New York, maybe in Washington, D.C. I think doing it in the western part of Washington was a little gutsy, although I do think that there will be no dispute that jurisdiction is proper over there. If they brought it in the other states, then we would have had about 2 years of arguing over whether or not the jurisdiction is proper to do it in New York or in Washington, D.C. So in that sense, very rarely I could say we skip that whole argument about is jurisdiction proper there. Okay, now to the gist of this lawsuit. A lot of people always tell me antitrust, what the heck? It's not, free market, right? Free capitalism, right? So the theory, we tried that in our country. We tried that, Zeke. And then we had the Great Depression, which led in World War II. What we found was that anytime you let the companies just kind of have unchecked capitalism, what they end up doing is anti-capitalistic, or you could say, unless you want to say that capitalistic behavior is anti-competition, because what happens is all these big companies end up just merging until you have like one dominant company in each industry, and then that dominant company can raise prices because no one could enter the market against them. They could raise prices. They don't have to give us good service. They can pay the laborers as little as they want and get as much profit. And then it ends up being that there's no more competition. So then the federal government started enacting federal antitrust laws to curb these big companies from this anti-competitive behavior. And now we're seeing this with the federal government filing this lawsuit against Amazon. And now let me explain. Now, there's a lot of problems with Amazon, according to this federal government complaint. One of them being that when somebody sells something on Amazon, about half of the money goes to Amazon. And that indeed increases the price because, for the seller to make any money, they would have to, they have to have a bigger kind of budget there because half of it is going to Amazon. And the sellers have no choice because, and what I'll explain about this anti-competitive behavior, but to keep selling on Amazon. And then in addition, what Amazon started doing is that it started charging sellers, advertising fees. So if sellers wanted to, they're selling pumpkins or something, right? And they want to put it on Amazon, they have to advertise. So they'll pay Amazon for advertising. Now, if they don't do that and they're not sponsored products, then they're going to sell a lot less. Okay, so then, so that's driving up these fees more. And now, what the federal government has to prove is the following. They're saying, in a competitive world, Amazon's decision to raise prices and degrade services would create an opening for rivals to attract business, gain momentum, and grow. But Amazon has engaged in unlawful monopolistic strategy to close off that possibility. So what we're going to discuss is the federal government's position that Amazon, they could start raising prices and they could do whatever the heck they want to do and force consumers to buy it in a certain way and force sellers to decrease their profits in a certain way because they have closed off competition. This case is about the illegal course of exclusionary conduct Amazon deploys to block competition, stunt rivals' growth, and cement its dominance. I love it. The way she says that is awesome. The elements of this strategy are mutually reinforcing. This is, by the way, Miss Khan is the attorney for the Federal Trade Commission that has been working crazy to get this moving. All right. Amazon's course of conduct has unlawfully entrenched its monopoly position in the market. Okay. So now let me finally start explaining like specific examples. My favorite one is that so Amazon is so big, and then when it's so big, it's going to have access to all these different avenues. And how did it get so big? A major part of how it got so big is that Amazon throughout the decades has been acquiring its rivals. So it's, and I always like to go online and look at this because the list of rivals that Amazon has acquired just keeps growing by the day. Amazon has purchased companies like, these are foreign companies, Book Pages, Telebook. Amazon purchased IMDb, Planet All, LiveBid. I can't go on for too long because this would take me hours. Accept.com. Amazon purchased a big company here that in the United States called Back to Basics Toys. It purchased Leap Technology, Egghead Software. Do you remember Egghead Software, Mateo? That was probably before your time. But back in the good old days, like 10, 15 years ago, you wanted to buy any sort of computer stuff, you go to Egghead, and Amazon bought them. Now, why did it buy them, right? It's because they're killing the competition by buying them. And in all of these examples, they almost always pay a lot more than what the company is worth so they can buy it. Audible is a big one. I actually love Audible. Audible is selling books, the audio books, right? And Amazon purchased them, killing competition. Box Office Mojo, they purchased Zappos. Remember Zappos for shoes? So Zappos was a very good company that specialized in different shoes and shoe accessory sales and things like that. Amazon purchased them to kill the competition, right? The Book Depository as a company. I read that. I think about the JFK, isn't that where he was hiding? Lee Harvey Oswald, he was hiding in the Book Depository. All right, so let's see. Anyway, so like I said, I could go on forever. If I the list is forever. Okay, so anyway, diapers.com. All right, so the reason why that's important is this. So Amazon has purchased all of these competitors, right? And then what ends up happening when they do that is then they have like a larger database of people and sellers and all of that. And then, they could then, they have less competitors, right? So that is one way that Amazon has found its way to kind of becoming so big is to buy the purchaser. So the federal government makes sure to explain that here. But that is, believe it or not, just a small part of it. The other things that it does here is that Amazon will, if there is, let's say there's a third-party seller. So the way Amazon works is there'll be things that Amazon makes or buys and its own, and then they're selling it like you're buying it directly from Amazon. And then there's sales that like third-party sales. And then what Amazon has done is that the third-party sales, if that entity is selling anything that it's selling on Amazon, if it sells it somewhere else for cheaper, then Amazon will ban them on the Amazon platform. So this is problematic because for third-party sellers, if they want to sell shoes or toys or whatever on Amazon, they have to pay Amazon half, right? But if they want to sell it cheaper, like let's say they have their own website, or they want to sell it on, Shopify, or they want to go somewhere else and sell it, they don't have to pay Amazon those fees. They can't sell it somewhere else because Amazon will force them to sell it higher on those other platforms, or they'll just ban them. And so that is what this federal government is saying. That's a anti-competitive behavior. So Amazon is getting away with making them sell it higher on Amazon because they're forcing those sellers to not be able to sell elsewhere. Now Europe fought Amazon over this and made them stop that. And in America, the Congress was starting to go after Amazon for this. So Amazon said, okay, we won't explicitly put that in the contract that we'll do that. But then what they've done, according to this lawsuit, is that Amazon will, I love the way that Ms. Khan states this, that Amazon has these surveillance web crawlers that search the internet, and if it finds that one of its sellers is selling somewhere else the same products for cheaper, then Amazon will put that seller, like they'll take them out of the buy box categories where so it's not as convenient for buyers to purchase something from them, or they'll hide them down the list of where they can buy. Okay, now let's see. So according to this federal government, is the Amazon does this because it has that clout, and this is an example of how it's raising prices to the detriment of consumers. Mateo, are you a Prime member? Yeah, I think everyone's a Prime member. We've been Prime members for a long time. So the federal government states that the Prime membership is anti-competitive. All right. So this is going to be a tough one, I think, for the federal government to prove. But here's how they're laying it out. Okay. The first one is when most buyers will buy things on this, Prime membership. The sellers that sell via Prime membership, they have to use Amazon for fulfillment and delivery. And that is a big problem, according to the federal government, because then what Amazon has done is that it's forcing sellers to purchase a whole nother service, right? So the seller is selling, like shoes and belts, right? But instead of the seller delivering it, using however they want to deliver it, they have to use Amazon. They have to pay Amazon. And then that becomes a problem for sellers because they can't imagine if they sell something on Amazon, they sell something on eBay, they sell something on Shopify or their own website. If they can kind of scale how they get things delivered, and maybe they can make more money that way, or they could save money, or whatever, right? But if they have to use Amazon, they're forced to use Amazon for their Amazon sales, then it's going to be harder for them to scale their system with everything else. You see what I'm saying there? This is what the federal government is saying. And that in itself is a kind of artificial barrier to companies being able to sell products off of the Amazon platform. And then the other thing is that with this Prime membership, okay, it's a little strange here. When you have Amazon forcing these folks to use that, Amazon then is a seller, right? Like it's not. How do I put it? So Amazon is selling products like batteries. You call Amazon. Was it Amazon Basics, right? So they're selling their own products on Amazon, and then there's third-party sellers that are selling products. So those are competitors, right? So Amazon is competing with these third-party sellers, but where are they all selling it on? Amazon, right? And according to this lawsuit, the Amazon will bump up its own products. So and they're kind of, so they'll bump up their own products even if they're more expensive, right? Because in theory, if you had a good market, like a competitive market, shoppers would go to something that's cheaper. But the way Amazon kind of deflects that is by, like I said before, they have all, they bought all these other companies, they have all this clout, and then they force people to use their shipping services, right? And then what they'll do is they'll bury a competitor by just putting that competitor way down, right? They have the power to do that. So if the market was better, according to the federal government, then by better meaning like more competitive, then people would purchase the lower product or purchase the lower price product. But Amazon stops them from doing that because they're burying that in the search categories and things like that. All right. So, right. All right. Then, oh man, I wish this was it, but there's a lot more. The Prime membership, what Amazon did is that it forces the customers when they purchase Prime, they can't just get Prime just for like shipping. They can't get Prime just for like a few products. They have to get all of it. They have to get like all or nothing with the Prime services, meaning they have to get the video games. They have to get there's like a drug prescription thing. They have to get the shipping. They have to get all of it. They can't just separate them out. The reason why Amazon did that is because then it kind of forces the consumers to have to get everything through Amazon, and it's harder then for third parties to sell their things off site because Amazon knows that what people want is let's say Mateo wants to buy some new socks, then he wants to buy underwear, and then he has to buy, what else do you buy usually? Like this guy, what is he? He's a cool hat, right? So he wants to buy all these different things, right? And then he has to buy. This is exactly what the complaint is saying. And then he realizes he has to buy garbage bags for the house, and he has to buy another case for his iPhone, right? What happens is people, if they're on a website, right, they'll be on a website, if they're on Amazon or whatever else. It's like it's a little annoying, so to speak, to be like, okay, I'll buy my clothes from whatever Nordstrom.com or whatever else, and then I'll buy my trash bags here, and then I'll buy my phone accessories there, right? That would be awesome if there's one site where you can get all of it, like Amazon, right? So what Amazon, by purchasing those other rivals and by kind of lumping everything together and kind of forcing the third parties to sell there, they were able to kind of acquire kind of like all the different categories. So now people know I'll just go to Amazon and I'll buy all the stuff I need in just one place. In theory, that would be amazing if you could still do that, but like you could have like a website or something that tracks and goes to the different sites, right? And then you could still like get it all in one place. But Amazon has done that in a kind of a way that, according to the federal government, is as anti-monopolistic, by buying the rivals and everything, and by creating this Prime membership where you have to like, you can't subscribe to one little thing, you subscribe to all of it. And then what ends up happening is that all of these competitors, it's going to be difficult because if some company wants to come out and, we're just selling, like health products only, or we're just selling iPhone cases only, we're just selling pens and pencils only. Consumers don't like to go to those sites. They want to go to a super online or an online superstore, the federal government calls it. And Amazon then, by doing what it's done in the past, it just has a bigger advantage. And that advantage is not necessarily something that was fairly acquired. It was something that was acquired by overpaying for other companies and these other monopolistic features. Okay, let's go. There's another thing, and the thing about making them use Amazon's fulfillment service, like I said before, in addition, those other companies can't scale the other things, and then Amazon then what they did originally was the fulfillment services, it was very cheap. And then because they don't have any other choices, they have to use that. From 2020 to 2022, they raised those prices 30% on sellers. Okay. And they could do that, and sellers can't go anywhere else because they're forced to stay here. I love how the complaint specified the different charges that sellers have. Amazon charges sellers 4 primary fees to sell there. There is a selling fee, that's one. Then there's a referral fee. That's the second one. There's the fulfillment and delivery. That should be 3 and 4, right? Because they charge, that's separate fees. They're fulfilling it is one thing and delivering it is something. Anyway, they lump it together. Fourth, Amazon charges sellers for advertising fees. Okay, so all these fees that the sellers pay, and they have no choice. What the federal government is saying in a lot of detail is that all of these fees are going up little by little. One of the things I love here is that in this complaint they use these examples of Sharpies. Apparently Sharpies are very popular to purchase online, right? And it's so cool. Like the lawyer saying, "I'm going after Amazon. They're charging too much for Sharpies." So here in these examples, the Amazon will, if you want to buy a Sharpie, or whatever the product is, remember it's what Amazon does here is that you're competing. The third-party sellers that are selling this are competing against a big seller, that's Amazon, and then they're all using this Amazon platform. So in this example with Sharpies, Amazon will put kind of ahead in the search market. Here is a lot of times they'll prioritize their own products. Okay, so so that disadvantages competitors, and they can't do anything about it. It's like, oh, well, let's lower the price. Oh, great, lower the price. We'll get kicked off the platform. Like we can't. We're just going to be lower on the search, and then it'll prioritize entities that pay more to advertise there. So that, you see what I'm saying? So everything, the sellers are getting like squeezed in a lot of different directions, and they don't have a choice to go anywhere else. And I wanted to say that the Sharpie example is awesome. Well, here's one trick with Amazon. If you do want to save money, you got to just kind of keep going down and keep searching, and eventually you'll find something. What sucks is even if you use that little price, like filter by price or something, some of the products is you could buy it quickly by hitting like buy now or add to cart. But on products that Amazon is trying to disfavor, they don't have that button there. Isn't that crazy? So, and it's difficult because they're, it's like an unfair advantage that they have against these third-party sellers. Okay. Now, keep in mind, the reason why this lawsuit is going to be a big deal is because proving all of this will be one thing, but they also have to prove, they would have to convince a jury that this is kind of an unfair practice, like they're overusing their control. Okay. Remember what I said about raising prices? Prime used to be $79. Now it's $139. So that obviously went up by a lot. There's these internal memo notes that Amazon had that said, look, the real thing about Prime is that, once we get people to like pay a subscription, then they'll want to keep, buying on Amazon to kind of make the subscription price worth it. And they have to buy Prime because if they don't, then, they don't get like these theoretical discounts or advantages. So everyone has to buy Prime, and then that's going to kind of lock them into Amazon so that if somebody wants to buy here in this complaint, they give examples like there's like this golf website called Rain or Shine Golf. That was a free shout out by the federal government in this lawsuit, and now by me. Okay, so in this, they'll say like, okay, well that company is just selling golf products, but there's no Prime membership and there's none of that. So it's just tougher for that particular company to compete because they're not selling all those other things. And the theory behind having the Prime membership with Amazon was that, well, once they have to sign up for Prime, otherwise they're kind of screwed on our website. And they have to be on our website because we bought all the competitors, right? So they have to use Amazon. And then once they pay for Prime, they're kind of locked in to kind of like purchasing from us. And then they won't want to go to those third-party sites because they'll want to purchase from us. And then even the sellers that have other sites, like I've said before, they won't be able to reduce the prices on those other sites because we'll throw them off our network. So it's like everything they're trying to do, it's like they're screwed unless they kind of conform to everything Amazon wants them to do. Okay. See, there was this awesome quotes here that I just liked too much, and I have to go over here. This was like poetically written, some of these. Okay. For Amazon, signing up and maintaining as Prime subscribers as possible is a top priority. In service of this goal, Amazon has even knowingly tricked shoppers into signing up for Prime and actively thwarted their efforts to cancel their subscriptions. Amazon internally admits to using this type of software and interfaces to mislead or trick users to make them do something they don't want to do, like signing up for this recurring Prime membership. Man, did you know that? Right? So here they're saying that users, when they would be on Amazon, like certain things happen that would trick users to buy Prime. And then the thing I hate is that they would make it very difficult to cancel the Prime service. There should be a law that if any company makes canceling a service like take longer than, let's say, 14 seconds. Is that about right? I know, Mateo, we're talking about canceling a service. We know, 14 seconds is enough time for most things, but canceling a service, damn it, let's stay professional. Canceling a service should not take longer than 14 seconds. If it does, there should be a $1 million penalty per consumer. What do you think? Yay or nay? Yes? Yeah, that should be the freaking law. Dude, I could run for Congress just based on that. I think people would vote for me. No, God! Be like, I'm gonna make things easy to cancel. That's it. Okay. So anyway, they made this Prime difficult to cancel. Of course, Amazon's gonna deny that, and there's gonna be a trial. But if that's true, damn it, why would they make it so difficult to cancel? It's because having that Prime membership had people kind of locked in to Amazon. It's like one more way that they were locked into it. Okay. The thing that I mentioned earlier about this fulfillment by Amazon, that was a big deal. That there's so much to that, meaning that forcing the consumers to use that, Amazon basically they kind of it's like it's a new service, right? And so by doing that, then Amazon has kind of like more access to things. Like once they start building that and scaling that, it gives them more access, and it makes the entry to compete against them that much tougher. If I had a new site, or I wanted to have a site, or whatever to sell. It's like what the sellers are noticing is that you're not going to make it unless you open up a store on Amazon's website. And then once you do that, then you're kind of like forever, like you have to just use their services. If I wanted to start my own thing and not use Amazon, it's just so difficult because they have kind of locked in the consumers to buy everything. Like, what the heck am I going to sell? If I want to sell watches or something, like everyone just goes to Amazon. So it's not impossible. The federal government makes it a point here by saying, no, there is competition. There's like Shopify that's trying to compete, and there's like millions of websites that are competing. So it's not that they have to have the sole monopoly. It's just like once they have such a big market share, and if they start raising prices and kind of doing things that would lock in customers to stay there, and if it's like an unfair advantage, and that's a tough one, right? proving what is unfair. One thing that I love what they make it a point here is that sellers are in fear because Amazon in its rules with sellers is that it could just cancel a seller completely, like just completely cancel a seller, and the seller doesn't get to know why. The seller won't be able to dispute it. It could seem arbitrary. It could be like they said here, like all of this different surveillance on the different sellers and what they're doing outside of the Amazon platform. They could do something that will just get them banned on Amazon. And it's always a big fear for the sellers. And here it says, indeed, seller forums on Amazon are rife with complaints about issues ranging from abrupt and arbitrary account suspensions to sellers having their inventory unexpectedly seized with no recourse. One seller explained that they could not leave Amazon because we have nowhere else to go. And yeah, Amazon sellers live in constant fear of Amazon arbitrarily interfering with their ability to sell. Okay, I think that the federal government has a very good case against Amazon, and I think Amazon, I think they'll fight this, and then ultimately they'll have some concessions, and they'll settle somehow with the federal government. I think if these practices go to a judge and jury, I think that, you know, I don't see a lot of people saying, "Oh, that sounds fair. That sounds fair." You know, I think a lot of people will not say that. So, in my view, I don't think the federal government has a perfect case. Because Amazon, it's like, hey, they can compete and they're allowed to do some of these things. And it's kind of uncharted. Oh, what was the term we had last week? Terra incognita, right? Uncharted territory. Because when they, in the 1930s, when they were coming up with these antitrust laws, it was all about like big oil and things like that. There was no, you know, internet. So it is some uncharted territory. But I do think some of these things are unfair. In my opinion, the big one is buying the rivals. Like when you start buying rivals, and then that makes it tougher to compete because now all of the products are with you, you know, and then you have that bigger breadth of, not breadth, breadth. How do you say that word? Breadth? No, breadth. You know what I'm talking about, right? The bigger breadth of things to sell, right? When you have that, right, and then they acquired that by buying all that. So I think that once they did that, then there should be kind of like a bigger responsibility with Amazon in terms of like how they stop the competition and how they play against the competition. What are we doing now, Zeke?
Dad jokes. Da, 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 da.
All right. I have received so many dad jokes that I save some here on my phone. I kind of like mark it down. I see that. I only know 25 letters of the alphabet. I just don't know why. What'd you think? What'd you think? I lost 25% of my roof last night. Oof. Did you get that? How do you spell oof? OOF, right? So you lose the R, that's 25%. Okay. Two guys walked into a bar. The third guy ducked. Two guys walk into a bar, Zeke, the third guy ducked. Like he didn't walk into the bar. Come on, he walked into a bar. Thank you. That was from Ryan S. Thank you, Ryan. You're a good guy. I had a dream that I weighed less than 1,000th of a gram. I was like 0 mg. Less than 1,000th of a gram, less than a milligram. So less than 0 OG, like OMG. All right. Guess what? I got good news. This is my last one. I'm reading an anti-gravity book, and I just can't put it down. See you next week.